Grand Rising, my fellow Eternals, fellow Elohim. Welcome to another sunny Sunday of the One Great I Am Awakening. I'm Chris Taylor, one of your hosts for this broadcast, and my co-host, Sir T, Mr. Thomas, aka Sir T, will be joining us in the interim. But in the meantime, the show must go on. Thank you guys for being here early. As usual, we have a wonderful lesson for you guys today titled Seed Time and Harvest. Seed time and harvest, one of Neville's greatest lesson, but often overlooked. You can look at it also as seed meaning cause, and the harvest is the effect. And that is the universal law of all laws, cause and effect. That's pretty much what, consciousness is. It is a cause and effect principle that we have residing within us. And not only residents within us, it is us. It is who we are. We are all the sons, the personifications, of this grand consciousness. And we're all playing a role. We're all actors. We're all wearing a mask, this body, this thing called flesh. Is nothing but a mask or a shadow, something that the real you is casting. Just like when you walk and the light creates a shadow of your body, the shadow is not real. We know it. Only your body. You can attest that's real. Well, the same thing is true for this exact flesh-related body you're looking at. Though it may seem real or three-dimensional, five sensory, you exist, it's here. It's really not. It's only a shadow, a reflection of the true you, a projection, maybe a better word. We're being projected by our very own consciousness, all right? So, that being said, as I said, we have a wonderful lesson for you guys today. So I want you guys to pay keen attention, take notes, physically or mentally, and we're going to try and have a wonderful discussion. Now, in the near future, we're going to change up the format a little bit to probably create a little bit more wave, so to speak, some more waves on the outside. And right here on the inside, we're more interactions, discussion, and just stimulating our minds a little bit more, and having a longer interactions, so to speak. So look out for that. We're gonna work on changing up the format in the very near future. Could be next week, could be the week after, but we're in the works of making that a reality. All right. So that being said, we're also broadcasting on YouTube. So want to thank anyone who have joined in or who has subscribed to the channel. If you have not yet, please do. We're trying to build an audience to get the word out even more so. Okay. I was on a TikTok last night, wee hours. I think I was on there until after 2 this morning. And when I looked at the number of people that's on that TikTok, it's amazing. They had almost 90,000 people. 90. Or something like that. I'm not even sure if it's people. I don't think it was that many, but the interaction was showing that. And so it means that they have a lot of people who are actually on the TikTok, and people were just coming in, coming in, by the second, faster than a second, honestly, the number of people that were coming into the TikTok. And surprisingly, these are people who take the Bible literally. So sometimes I join these TikToks to spread the word, kind of sound the alarm, sound the trumpet, try to disturb their mind and, plant the seed as we're talking about seed time and harvest. So whatever seed I planted last night and prior will germinate, and there'll be a harvest at some particular point in their lives. Because once they start to retort or react to what I was saying, the seed is planted. If they show no attention to it, then the seed was not there, was not planted. So I know I disturbed a couple of minds last night, but it was interesting that what we do here on the One Great I Am Awakening, and many other people of our same, of the same kind of program, is always very few. It is the narrow road spoken of in scripture. Narrow is the way to heaven, but broad is the road to hell, or that leadeth to destruction. So where you see that many people all at once trying to continue this madness, this foolishness of accepting the Bible as literal rather than spiritual and psychological, they're going nowhere. It's a circle. It's not even linear. You think you're going somewhere, there's an end, but they're just going round and round like the Israelites did in the wilderness, round and round for 40 years. Not literally 40 years, but just it took them 40 years to complete. 40 means completion, where you come to the end. It's fruition. It's realization, revelation. It took them 40 years, to stop the madness. And so all of us have done that. We've done our 40 years, going around and around and around this Bible, accepting it as truth. I mean, accepting it as so-called gospel, literal history. And all along it's been a mystery of the mind, written in parables, metaphors, and symbolisms. And all they really mean is that there are stories of the mind written as something real, but it is not. There are stories written as if they're factual, but they are not. You are supposed to discriminate the story on the surface and find the inner meaning that is telling you. Too much of it is supernatural, and we are not on this planet acting as supernatural in the flesh. You can only act supernatural in the mind. You understand? So therefore, it must be a mental book. Nobody in the day I walk on water and fly, and all this supernatural stuff that we read, it's got to be within your mind. That's the only part of you that is super. You understand? So I was just there punching, a couple minds, get them disturbed to wake them up. And I did get a few interactions, so we'll see where that goes. But we're hoping to broaden our horizon as well with the way we're going to start doing things a little bit differently. So we'll keep you guys posted in the interim how that's going to go. All right. So that being said, let's jump into our message or our lesson for today, Seed Time and Harvest by Neville Goddard. It's a wonderful, wonderful message from Neville that we all need to really pay attention to and take seriously. So here we go. Neville Goddard, Seed Time and Harvest. let's go, and I'll be back momentarily. I have to change the setting right here.
As you have been told, this morning's subject is seed time and harvest. Although it bears the same title as my latest book, it is not to be found in that book, for that book is an attempt to interpret some of the more difficult passages of the Bible. I have given you in the 9 chapters a mystical view and also a certain approach how you yourself may approach the interpretation of the Bible. For as you know, it is not a book of history. And so, when I became aware of deeper meanings in the passages than those normally assigned to them, I began to see them or to apprehend them mystically. And so I have given you a mystical interpretation of many of the darker passages. For instance, when Solomon made himself a chariot of the wood of Lebanon, he made himself. No one made it for him. That's what you must do. That's what I must do. That's what everyone must do. And in that chapter, I showed you the wood is not wood, as you know wood. It means the wood of Lebanon is the incorruptible mind. But you make it for yourself. And we showed you the sides, what they were made of, and what the meanings really are. Then we took that very strange passage, the instruction to the disciples to take off their shoes or provide no shoes when they travel. And we showed you the word shoe is not just the thing I wear on my foot. It is the symbol of the Spirit of, let me do it for you. For the shoe takes up on itself not only the dirt and the muck that would normally fall upon the wearer's foot, but it protects the wearer from any contact with the outer world. And so, anyone who offers to do for us what we should do and could do far better ourselves is offering himself as our shoe. And if I would awaken spiritually, I must do it for myself. I must take my own mind and control it. Take my wonderful imagination and actually control it and set it to noble purposes and not have some intermediary come between myself and God. For the God of this world is an internal God. He is that inevitable force that expresses in outward facts the latent tendencies of the soul. And so, if I would discover that God, I cannot have you do my work for me, I cannot have you eat my spiritual food and expect to grow spiritually. So that is really the attempt of the 9 chapters in the book Seed Time and Harvest. But this morning's subject, I want to approach it differently. This statement is taken from the book of Genesis, the 8th chapter of Genesis. It is a promise made to man that while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, hot and cold, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. We are told that man was placed in a garden. The garden was completed. Every tree was bearing fruit. Everything in the world was finished. And he was placed in the garden to dress it and to keep it. He doesn't plant it. He doesn't do a thing but dress it and keep it. He is not called upon to make trees or to grow new trees. Everything is finished. As we are told in John, I have sent you to reap that, whereon you bestowed no labor, for creation is finished. Every conceivable human drama, every little plot, every little plan in the drama of life is already worked out as mere possibilities while we are not in them. But they are overpoweringly real when we are in them. So man can get in touch with that particular state of his choice. For my imagination can put me in touch inwardly with the state desired, so I am in it. If I am in it, I will realize it in my world. The states in which we find ourselves, are the seed time. The harvest is simply the encountering of events and circumstances of life. But man's memory is so short, he forgets the seed time. But all ends run true to origins. So if the origin, say, is misfortune, the end will be misfortune. But when you reap misfortune, you wonder, why should it happen to me? When have I set a thing like this in motion? Haven't I given to the poor? Haven't I attended service? Haven't I prayed daily? And why should these things happen? But you see, my God never forgets, because he always gives the end in harmony with the origin. And you and I are selectors. We don't make. We are not creators. Creation is finished. The whole vast world of creation, as told us in Ecclesiastes, I am the beginning and the end. There is nothing to come that has not been and is. So look upon creation as finished. And you and I are only selectors of that which is. By selectors, I mean that you and I have the privilege. We may not exercise it, but it is our privilege to select that aspect of reality to which we will respond. And in responding to it, we bring it into existence for ourselves. Not knowing that we are so privileged, we simply go through the world reflecting the circumstances of life, not realizing we have the power to create or to outpicture the circumstance of life. So now let us now analyze what I personally mean by seed time. If everything is finished and completed, then why the promise there shall be seed time and harvest as long as the earth remains. Now seed time, to those who are here this morning, as we should really know, we are not taking it literally. Our seed time is that moment in time when you and I react to anything in this world. It may be to an object, it may be to an individual, it may be to a bit of news that we have overheard. But the moment of reaction, that emotional response, is our attitude. Our attitudes are the seed times of life. And although we may not remember the seed time or the moment of response, nature never forgets. And when it suddenly appears in our world, that suddenness is only the emergence of a hidden continuity. It was continuous from the moment of reaction until it appeared in the world. Its appearance in the world is harvest. So you and I may harvest anything we desire, but we must first have a seed time. It must be preceded by a moment of response or an attitude. How often you say, I approached it in the wrong attitude, or he is in the wrong attitude, or you must change your attitude if you would get on in this life. I have said it, you have said it, maybe we have said it to each other, but we know the importance of right attitude. We know this much, that I can change my attitude if circumstances change. That's automatic. We know that if something happens suddenly in my world, of which up to that moment I was not aware, I, becoming aware of a change of circumstance, would automatically produce in myself a change of attitude. We all do that, morning, noon, and night. But that's not important. That is a reflect of life. 99% of the world reflect life. Now, can I consciously, can I voluntarily, can I deliberately produce in myself a change of attitude, one of my own discretion, one that I myself single out, and not one that is determined by or in any way is dependent on a stimulus of a change in the object itself? Must you change before I will change my attitude towards you? We know that if you do change, I will change my attitude towards you. But must I go through life simply reflecting these changes in the objects? And can I not deliberately determine the change prior to the change in the object? For if I can, I am moving towards complete control of my fate and becoming the master of my fate. If I can assume an active, positive attitude and not depend upon changes, in the object for changes in myself. If I can do it, I really am, if not a complete master, I am becoming more in control of the circumstances of life. But 99% of the world waits for things to happen on the outside, and then they reflect. That's no accomplishment at all. If we would awaken and become real selectors of the beauty of this garden that God gave us, so that we can single out that particular aspect to which we will respond, then we will do it by deliberately changing our attitude towards life itself. There is a little fable given us to show us how it is done. If you will study the fable carefully, you will see the importance of imagination. The fable is the fable of the fox and the grapes. You all know it. When he failed to obtain the grapes, then he persuaded himself that the grapes were sour, and by imagining the grapes to be sour, he evoked in himself a change of attitude. He no longer felt about the grapes as he formerly felt. Now that's a little fable on a negative tone or a tragic tone. You and I take the same story, but now we put it on a positive tone. We contemplate our ambitious dream, our noble concept of life. It may seem we haven't the talents to realize it. Instead of saying what the fox did, that the thing is beyond us, and therefore it is sour anyway, we can take the same technique and wonder what it would be like had we realized it. What would the feeling be like were we, and we name it? If I can contemplate what the feeling would be like were I the man that I want to be, were you the person that you want to be, and rejoice in that state as though it were true, I am producing in myself that emotional response necessary for seed time. I may not see an immediate harvest. Maybe the thing that I am now giving expression to in the form of seed time is an oak. It is not a little mushroom that would grow overnight. Maybe my dream would take a little longer interval of time between the actual planting and the reaping. But if I know that all these things are consistent, see yonder fields. The sesamum was sesamum, the corn was corn, the silence and the darkness knew. So is a man's fate born. So, if that moment of response is the actual planting of the seed, and if it was corn, it must be corn when it appears in harvest time, then I can select the nature of the things I want to encounter in my world. I can
All right. Let us do a quick review. We're about 1/3 of the tape in. So I'm just trying to get through as much of the tape as possible so we can come back and have a really good discussion on it. But just to go over a couple of things that never mentioned here. Seed time and harvest. Okay, so he mentioned that, he mentioned something about the wood of Lebanon, which means basically a disciplined mind. Remember, we're always been told in the gospel story, the central character there, the Christ, Jesus Christ, is is your subconscious mind, and the conscious mind are the disciples who is always around him. So it is showing you right there that consciousness, one being conscious mind and the other being subconscious mind. The conscious mind is given the task to be disciplined, because if not disciplined, anything you let pass through your conscious mind goes into the subconscious. So the conscious mind is the farmer. That's the farmer. That's the one planting the seed. Your conscious mind plants seeds, and the subconscious mind is the soil. that receives the seed. The conscious mind is the male, and the conscious and the subconscious mind is the female, the feminine male. Okay? Both aspects of the mind um, is male, but one is masculine, one is feminine. Okay? I hope you guys understand that. But they are one, husband and wives. They work in unison. Always married, can never be separated. Okay? So you're given the task to discipline your conscious mind, because anything you let get by you goes into the soil. So it'd be like a farmer who has several different seeds in his hand, and he's walking on the soil, but he does not mean to plant them in this particular spot. He's trying to take them over to another spot to plant them, but the seeds fall out of his hand and falls into the soil. The soil cannot reject the seed. You understand? And he's walking by, and then weeks later, he realizes that some of the seeds, some of the seeds that he planted over there, they're over here. How did that happen? And so the subconscious mind works like that. It's going to show you things that you planted either consciously or unconsciously, meaning that you weren't aware that you did. And that's what this tape is about, the seed time and harvest. This is the point that Never Got It is trying to get across to us. That, we are farmers and we plant seeds in our conscious or subconscious mind unknowingly. So he's talking mostly about the unknown planting, not the known necessarily. It's the unknown that he's trying to bring us in awareness to. All right? And so you have to discipline your mind. That's the first thing that the central figure, the central character in the gospel, Jesus, which means Jehovah saves, ask you to do. That's why he went around finding disciples, the 12 of them. There are just 12 aspects of your conscious mind. They are not 12 people that ever existed at any time. They only exist in your mind, okay? And so Peter is the first disciple. Actually, Simon. Simon is the first disciple. Simon means to hear or hearing. So when you hear something, you have to discriminate against it. You have to filter it and do not let it disturb your mood or attitude. The minute it does that, it got by your hearing and into your subconscious, into your soil, into the womb of consciousness. You understand? You've just planted it and don't even realize it. But if you're disciplined, you will filter what you're hearing first and show no reaction if it's not what you condition yourself to not hear or to not entertain, to not let in to your consciousness. And when you've, it says the wood of Lebanon, when you have hardened your mind to that point where you don't just let things get by, this is where Simon got the surname Peter. Peter means a rock, the one that cannot be removed or moved. Okay, so hence the name Simon Peter. The hearing is the first nature. The second nature, which is what the word surname means, that's all it really means. It's your second nature, meaning that, or your new nature. the discipline aspect of your nature. Okay. We once believed we were flesh. Now we know we're spirit. So we've now taken on the name of spirit, or the nature. We're now living in our true nature, which is what the word name means. Okay. So surname is your new nature. That's what Peter did. That's what Simon became when he became disciplined, or disciplined the hearing. This is why when they came to take Jesus from the Garden of Gethsemane, he cut the man's ear off. Peter had to be the one to do it. Okay? So you can make those relations right there to see the symbolism, and it's all symbolism of scripture. Now, the shoe, he mentioned the shoe here. The shoe symbolizes the spirit, which takes on all of the conditions that you put it through. When you put on your shoes, don't you walk through the mud, walk through water, walk through whatever is on the ground, and your foot or your feet stay protected. If you walk on glass bottle, if you walk on sharp objects, if you walk in something dirty, muddy, your feet stay protected, and the shoe takes on all the beating. That's your spirit. This is why they symbolize Christ in the story, carrying the cross. The cross is this body, and he was the one bearing the sin, which means to miss the mark. Your spirit, your true self, or your subconscious mind in this aspect, bears all the the hardship, the burdens. This is why Eve in Genesis was told that as of this day she will, when she's bearing child, she will be in pain. Doesn't have a thing to do with our normal life, where a woman has pain during childbirth. It's talking about your subconscious mind. Eve represents your subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is always producing things that we plant within it. So it said that you will be you should be submissive to your husband. She was cursed to be submissive to Adam. Again, Adam means mankind, male and female. So that should tell you that Eve is not a woman, because that would mean both sexes have a wife. The man have a wife, and Eve and the woman also has a wife. Nonsense. Okay? Adam means man, which is short for mankind, male and female. And Eve is the subconscious. That is our helpmate. That is our womb that we sow things into, that bring forth our child, our children, our thoughts, our desires that we plant. They come from Eve, our subconscious. Okay? And so and Jesus is known as the second Adam. Okay? The second Adam. So it's like they're interchangeable. The first Adam is the flesh, second Adam is Jesus, your savior, your awareness of being. Okay? That is your savior. That's who you really are. Okay? And you're supposed to discipline your conscious mind so that you don't let things get into your awareness that is not supposed to be there. or else what's going to happen is one day you're going to be surprised and you will not remember that you have planted that seed, because every seed time must bring a harvest time. So what Never is trying to tell us here, that we should be very conscious, be very aware of our thoughts, of what we are thinking or what we thought about in some particular time of our life. I put a tape in the room earlier this morning, Never talking about you can revise the past. He called it revision. You can revise your past. And I wrote a little summary saying that it's basically like when you plant a seed for a couple of days or weeks, and you go back and you pull it up so that it never becomes a tree, or it never becomes hardened as a tree. If you let a tree grow to a particular size, you cannot pull it up out of the ground anymore. The roots are too big, too deep. You have to cut it down. That's a problem. But you can pull it up as a seed or a little tree before it becomes hardened or hardened into flax. That's revision. You're changing what you originally decided to do. Unfortunately, in this case, these are seeds or trees, little trees that we planted, and we did not know. We were unaware of it. I was playing something earlier where Bob Proctor, which was very profound, said that his teacher, his mentor, told him that anything that comes into your life, the real reason why you are responsible for them is because they are your experience. You understand? They are my experience. So if they're mine, I have to be the one that had conjured them up somewhere, somehow, oftentimes unknowingly, without any awareness that I did. So anything that happens in your life to you or whatever, you have to be the one that had done it, because it is your experience. If it is your experience, you have to be the one that had done it. But we cannot remember, because man has a very short memory. Okay? Can't remember what we did, what we were thinking at the time. Or we think because it happened right now, it was something that we did right now. No, it is a seed that we had planted days ago, weeks ago, months ago, oftentimes years ago. And so Neville came up with this idea, this theory, that you can go back and revise your past. You know, if you can remember, maybe let's just say you had a quarrel with someone, and you took on the attitude of frustration, of anger, hate, you know, whatever you were feeling at the time. You can go back and revise that situation. How do you revise it? You go back in mind, in your imagination, and you have the conversation again with the individual or individuals, but you have it in the way that you had hoped it had gone. And that is revision. If you stay steadfast to that new awareness, that new imagination, and forget the one that happened, you know, in prior, that one will supplant what had happened. The new imagination, the new image, the new form of that situation will supplant, just like how Jacob supplanted Esau. You know, Esau was the one given the birthright from the beginning, so that could be symbolic to the argument that you had days ago, weeks ago, sometime even months ago. It can be, it's symbolic to that. Esau is the one that means flesh, already happened first, the first thing you see. But Jacob is spirit, or the new nature, the new mind that you go back and revise. And then once you hold steadfast to that belief, it will supplant Esau, which is what happened in this case. Esau became second to Jacob now. Jacob became the one that got the birthright, that got the father's inheritance and stuff like that. So these stories are telling you that you have control mentally to revise your past events or past occurrences. And if you can revise the past, you can affect the future. But if you do not revise it, just like a seed, it will take time, germinate, water, sunlight, all that stuff. You won't even have to do any of that. The rainfall, sunshine, and the tree grows. You know, I planted several trees in my yard, our seeds of many different kinds, and when I water them, but them still grow. And I see callaloo popping up all over the place that I didn't plant. There's my point. They're all over the place. The wind comes, blows them all over the place. They somehow, I don't know how, take root and become callaloo trees or plants. And I didn't plant them intentionally, but the seeds are there. So that's what I'm talking about. You will see things popping up into your life that you have no idea why or what's the purpose and so on and so forth. And so you have to understand that you are the one planting those seeds. Regardless, it is you. And be glad that it is you, because if it is you, that means that you can fix it, you can change it, you can recondition the situation, and it will the new thought, the new belief. Hey Clifford, is that you?
I thought I was muted.
Okay, let me mute you. I got you. I'll see you though. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining. You mentioned about the garden. He's talking about clearly the Garden of Eden in the beginning. The Garden of Eden is really your awareness. And because in it, he planted a tree, or two trees in the center of the garden. One is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and one is the tree of life. The tree of life is basically your subconscious mind. There it is again. So your subconscious mind, and the tree of knowledge is the conscious mind, your husband and wife. Only your conscious mind can think or is dual. It can do many things. It's wishy-washy. It's up and down, right, left. It's a dual mind, so to speak. It's a double mind, would be a better word. It's always thinking of good, evil. It's thinking of things are possible, impossible. That's the mind that desires. It's the mind that can imagine, can reason. But your subconscious mind has no ability to reason whatsoever. It's one track, and it works by emotion. The ground is one track. The ground cannot plant seeds. It requires you to plant the seed in it. Okay? It's one track. But whatever you put into the ground, it grows. You know, whatever you put into it grows. But the farmer decides what seeds he plants. plant good seeds or bad seed. So it's telling you there in the story of the garden that the tree of knowledge of good and evil is the conscious mind, the mind that reasons or makes decisions. And the tree of life was a tree that you were told to eat from, which is one trap. It's basically telling you to always be steadfast. Don't be wishy-washy. You know, um, be like your subconscious mind. One track, one way. Don't be double-minded. Don't believe today and then disbelieve another time. Always be like the subconscious, which is one track. It sells out to everything that there is. It's emotional. It accepts things as is. Does not change anything. Whatever you put into it, that's what it becomes. You plant corn, it can't become peas. You plant peas, it cannot become orange. Whatever you put into it, that's what the subconscious gives back. Okay? So it is telling you there. And Eve, which represents your subconscious mind, the reason why she was the one that ate from the tree was because your subconscious mind can only eat from the conscious mind. You understand? It cannot eat from itself or anything else, right? That's why Eve was the one that ate the apple, because she represents the subconscious. And she's taken from the conscious mind, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, whatever you plant into it. That's why it's called good and evil. You can plant good things in your subconscious or bad things. Okay? It's that simple. And then she fed it to Adam, which means that your subconscious mind is going to feed back whatever you, as man, meaning male and female, plant into it. So whatever you plant, whatever the subconscious mind takes from you, it gives back. You understand? She bit the apple, which is good or evil, whatever you planted, whatever it was that you planted, either consciously or unconsciously, and she feed it right back to you, whatever it is. People don't understand that part of the story, but that's really what it is. Okay, she's going to give it back to you, your subconscious, whatever you planted in it, whatever you fed your subconscious mind. All right. Never mentioned that creation is finished. All that really means is that your awareness, your consciousness, your imagination, it is all finished. There is nothing to create, nothing to, bring forth that doesn't already exist. Everything exists within your awareness. It's like water. Whatever form you want to give it exists. There's nothing that it cannot be.
I need a little help.
Hold on.
Just bring those cans over here.
Sure, I'm muted by mistake. Yeah, whatever form you want to give it, give water, it takes. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't reason. It cannot be this or it cannot be that. So your subconscious mind or your consciousness, the whole of it is basically what Neville is talking about here, that it is a finished product. You understand? Your conscious and subconscious finished product. You have desires that exist that you are just becoming aware of one by one. There's nothing that you're creating or that you are, somehow new. It's not new. It already exists. All you're doing is selecting what already exists. When you go into Walmart, you don't go there and make anything. You just buy what's already there. But everything that's there was already thought of that you would need as an individual or as a family or whatever. You understand? So consciousness is the same thing. It's like plastic. Whatever form you melt the plastic into, whatever mold It takes that shape. Okay. So that's what it's talking about. And your awareness, it never forgets. It never forgets what you were thinking in the past. It holds on to it like a seed in the ground, and it will one day manifest, one day become present, one day become physical and stuff like that. So you have to always be aware of what you're thinking or what you're contemplating. Never mention that if you, the main thing about this seed time and harvest, he says this happens most of the time when you are entertaining something and you become emotional about it. You're watching, like now, you're watching the you're watching the election discussion or debates and whatever, and you become emotional about that. You have just planted a seed and you don't even know it. You have just planted a seed. If you're watching any particular news and you see all these different things happening around the world, and you start to think, why am I not want to happen to me? I hope that doesn't happen to me. Or you start to think, what if that could happen to me or my family? You've just planted a seed because you have taken on the nature of the thing that you're watching. Remember, I know your nature gives life. You are a life-giving spirit. Your true nature is a life-giving spirit. So you are taking something that's on the outside or something that you're seeing, hearing, your five senses are aware of it, and you are making that part of your being. You're attaching it to you, you're crucifying it to you. You understand? And then in due time, because you've done that, there will be a harvest. So this is what Neville is really, really trying to get us to understand, that we are planting seeds when we are just entertaining normal experiences or circumstances in our lives. And we plant a seed, you hear that, they stole some money from somebody, and you start to think to yourself, well, I hope that don't happen to me, I'm not going to drive that way anymore. I'm not going to go that way anymore. You start saying all these things. You just planted a seed and you don't even know it. You just planted a seed. And the funny thing is, we stay attached to these negative seeds or these so-called possible negative experiences that we could have potentially, than we do the things that are positive. Because I don't know what it is. I think the things that are positive, we become doubtful that it's going to happen because it's taking too long or it not happened yet. But the things that are negative is often they're often proven, or there's examples of it. You know somebody who it has happened to, or it has happened to you before, or whatever the case may be. So you hold on to that possibility much easier, much longer than something that you've never experienced, something positive that you want to do or experience. You don't hold on to it long enough. You let it go. You uproot the seed. So we uproot the seed of something that we truly desire, and we leave the one that we don't desire planted. Imagine that. And what we're trying to do is learn how to hold on to the seeds that we desire to experience, and uproot the ones that we have no desire to experience. And it's because we've been programmed to act like that. So seed time is when you react within emotionally to something. That is the true seed time that Neville is trying to get across. Your attitude, the way you are carrying yourself at that particular time, or the sustained attitude or mood that you find yourself in. Usually fear, doubt, worry, we tend to hold on to these things longer than anything that is positive, that is truly what we want to desire or experience. We hold on to those things because we've been programmed from birth by way of our subconscious to fear, doubt, worry about any and everything. And so a lot of things that we've planted when we were 5 years old, 10 years old, 20, wherever, those are the things that are coming back now to haunt us because we have no idea of who we are at that time. We don't know that we are life-giving spirit. We don't know that we are consciousness, that we are spirit. We don't know it. We think we're just flesh and that there's some being, God and the devil, fighting over us, fighting over our souls. All this nonsense we've been told. You understand? And so sometimes it's something that you planted a long time ago. And that's why I never talked about revision. And so your attitude is one way, or your mood, your emotion, whatever nature you take on at the time, that is like a seed that you have become. It's like the many different seeds that exist. Whatever nature you take on, whether it be fear, doubt, worry, hate, anger, whatever it is that's negative that we take on, based on our attitude or our emotions at the time, that's a seed that we have just planted. And if we sustain that same attitude, it will manifest. Okay. He talks about the fox and the grape. This was a very interesting mention there. The fox and the grape. I don't remember if I've heard that story. Some of you guys may. The fox and the story, but the story goes that the fox was trying to get some grapes and he couldn't get to it. And so he made an excuse, boy, the grape, them the sour anyway, so it's a good thing I didn't get them. So, I would have wasted my time. Basically, that's the moral of the story, the fox and the grape. And whatever he's saying there is that we tend to do that all the time with things that we go after. Because we don't get it, we make up excuses as to the reason why. We're trying to buy a house, they deny us, and you say, boy, the house was too expensive anyways. Or I didn't like the area, or, it wasn't the right time. So we make up all these excuses to justify why we didn't get it. And what we should realize that we're saying that you didn't get it because you didn't first get it in mind. The harvest was the disappointment, meaning that the seed was disappointment. So whatever the harvest is, that's the seed. All ends must run back to the origin. All ends must run back to the root. All effects must run back to the cause. The cause and the effect are the same. They cannot be different from each other. Okay? And so what Neville is saying, what we should do instead is when that does happen to us, is go back and revise the results. The result is disappointment, then go back and revise it, which means to be the opposite of disappointment, which is you've met your appointment. It actually happened. So don't be like the fox and call it sour, which is symbolic to saying it was because it wasn't the right time. I didn't have the money anyway, it's too expensive. The job, is not paying me enough. We make up all these excuses as to why it didn't happen. And what we should recognize right there and then, the reason why it never happened is because of you. Some seed that you planted before, and it may not have been anytime recently. It could have been 20 years ago. You said, why, who, me? I'm buying a house. I would never buy a house. I'm just gonna rent or house too expensive. Or my credit never good yet. Um, and these things come back to haunt you. When you know, that seed come back to become you know, what you were in nature at that time. Meaning that if you planted an orange tree, in due time it will grow up. Planted an orange seed, in due time it will be an orange tree. You will not be. You shouldn't be surprised if the orange seed becomes an orange tree. But we tend to be surprised when we're disappointed, not realizing that you're only disappointed because that was a seed that you planted. You understand? Mr. Money, you have something you wanted to say, sir? Probably not. You know, so this is the awareness that you have to become, um, that you have to realize is that you are the cause of all the effects. You are the one planting the seeds of everything that you have harvested. You know, so don't be surprised. Uh, you can be disappointed, but don't be surprised that that you're not the cause, that you are the cause. You know, you must recognize it right away. Uh, Understand the gravity of the situation, but don't stay there. Don't stay in the disappointment. Go back into your awareness, go back into your imagination, and imagine the outcome being different. So you've now uprooted that seed that that you're experiencing. You've now uprooted. So this is not the plant I wanted. You pluck it up and plant the seed that you want, and go about your business. In time, you will be qualified to buy the house. You'll be qualified to buy the car. You'll be qualified for the job that they denied you of. You'll be qualified for the raise that they denied you of previously. You understand? So you cannot dwell in the negative or the discord or the discomfort or the um, disappointment. Don't dwell in that. You know, that's not the seed or tree that you want to plant. Be aware and hurry up and plant the seed that you do want. Okay? Because there's always, your awareness never forgets what it is that you've planted. You forgot, the conscious mind, very forgetful. And it is by design. It has to be that way. Though it is somewhat of a challenge, you have to have forgetfulness. It serves its purpose. You understand? But when you become aware of who you truly are, um, you know how to navigate around that when something does happen that you have forgotten about. You know how to navigate. The worst thing is to not know and you continue to sin, which means to miss the mark. You continue to say or add more fuel to the fire, so to speak, by making up excuses like the fox, calling the grape sour, even though he never tasted them. But just to give himself relief, so he wouldn't be so disappointed, him say, I'm sour, man. It's a good thing whenever I get them. But I probably sour anyways. And we were taught to say things like this, especially in Jamaica. It's better to, what them say, it's better to to prepare to expect, prepare for disappointment. You understand? You prepare for disappointment, but you hope that didn't go so. I'm hoping it doesn't go that way, but I'm going to prepare for disappointment. Like, that's so backwards. How can you prepare for something you hope that goes the right way? You know, I'm gonna hope it goes my way, but I'm going to prepare my mind so that if it doesn't happen, I won't be too hurt. That is so backwards and foolish. And these are the things that they've used to program our subconscious mind. So in the back of our mind, which is really what we refer to as our subconscious, in the back of our mind, where I say, well, I'm not even know if I'll get through, you know. There's always that doubt that was planted since we were children, kids, that comes up every time you're trying to get something. It comes. It's a program that's in the back of your mind running that reminds you, hey, remember, you know, just hope for the best. But if it doesn't happen, prepare for the worst so that you won't be disappointed. And I hear people say it all the time. I wonder why things don't go their way. Or if it does, it's not long before they get disappointed again, because you're always expecting disappointment, or you prepared yourself for disappointment. So switch it around. You know, I'm going to always prepare for my appointment to come my way. You understand? And if it does not, I will not relent. I will continue to go steadfast that I have it until I have it. You understand? So just wanted to make that point there in the tape to kind of like, you know, get you guys to truly understand what Neville is trying to get at here. And in your own mind to understand. Do not take on the attitude of the news of the day. Do not take on the attitude of this election that's going on. Okay? Who hit this guy, who hit that guy, and all these different things. Don't take on that assumption, because you will have planted a seed. And perfect example with this election, a lot of people fear that Trump will be running for election again. And see him there. He's back in it. You understand? Because in the back of people's mind, why am I hope same run again, you know? Or why am I can't stand him, and all these different things. Not realizing that you're planting the seed. So everybody has helped Trump to get back to where he's at. I don't even know it. You understand? We're the ones planting these seeds. So I've come to the realization that it don't really matter who wins, Trump or Biden or whoever. It don't matter. I'm the president of my own life. I care zero. You understand? They're not going to pay your light bill or your water bill or your rent or your mortgage or nothing. You still have to take care of yourself. Don't stress yourself over these idiots. It's all a divisive program anyways. Okay? Your consciousness is your president and primary resident, meaning that you should always reside there and not in the outer world with all this nonsense going on. Because you would have taken on the emotions and planted a seed. And there must be a harvest. And don't be surprised. Okay? So that being said, let's jump back into the tape. Run for a while, and we'll be right back.
Take not just Neville as a man. I can take the request first of my circle, my intimate circle, as a family man. My wife's desires for her child, for her husband, for herself. The child's desire for itself. And move beyond my little circle as a family man into the circle of friendships, move beyond that into my acquaintances, move beyond that into total strangers, impersonal states. But if I know the law holds good, no matter when I operate it, if I do it unconsciously or consciously, You get results regardless, and the results are in harmony with the planting, with the actual seed team. Now what is now? Our seed team today. There are maybe 2,000 odd here. We have 2,000 odd different requests, multiplied by a large number because we have requests for others. But you can take today, as you sit here, and you can actually contemplate what it would be like. Suppose it were true. Suppose I could turn now to a friend and rejoice with him because of his good fortune, and actually carry on a mental conversation with him from the premise that he or she has already realized the dream. Now, as I do it in my imagination, I am setting up within myself a certain change attitude in regard to that individual. I am producing within myself a certain positive, deliberate, emotional response. And that very moment that I do it is seed time. I will encounter that individual tomorrow, or next week, or next month, and he will bear witness of that thing I plant now. He may be totally unaware that I planted it in this garden. I am not seeking his praise. I am not seeking credit. I am seeking results. If I see the man become the embodiment of the success I know that he desires, and I desire for him, that's praise enough, that's payment enough. What more payment would anyone desire other than the results? For everything is a gift. Why should I be given more? My Father gave me the garden. The whole thing is in complete and full bloom, and gave me choice. The greatest gift of all, complete freedom of choice of the nature of the fruit I will reap in my world. But I cannot just barge into the garden and start picking fruit. There must be a seed time, but I must always bear in mind I will reap that whereon I bestowed no labor. I don't labor to make it so, I simply plant it. For in that moment of response is contained all the plans, all the energy necessary to unfold that plan into a perfect, wonderful objective fact, which I will then harvest by becoming aware of it as an external reality. But I don't labor to make it so. I simply must know it is so. So that is our privilege. That is our choice. If you believe it, aren't you amazed at the kind of things that you planted, at the kind of seed time that in our ignorance, in our sleep, we allowed to actually scatter in our world? You see, some will say, but why does God allow it? You cannot conceive of an infinite God that is not infinite in every respect. If I was incapable, actually incapable of assuming, say, an unlovely state, I could not be my Father's son because my Father is infinite. And if he were actually incapable of assuming any state, then he would not be God. Everything is within me, but everything. You cannot conceive of something that I don't contain. The most horrible thing in the world, were it not so, I could not be infinite, and therefore not the son of my infinite Father. So God is infinite and gave us everything, but he gave us freedom of choice that we may become selective, discriminative, and bring out everything that is beautiful out of that garden. If I took the piano, the 88 notes of the piano, if I could extract from that piano keyboard every discord, I would not have a piano keyboard. If I could strike a discord, and because it frightens me or it disturbs me, the thing grates upon my nerves, if I could now extract the notes that produce the discord, and then keep on extracting the notes that produce the discord, I would remove the 88 notes. There would be no notes left on, which I could play tomorrow's harmony. But let me leave the notes and learn the art of playing the piano, so I can from the same 88 notes bring out all the harmonies of the world. The same thing is true of man. Instead of looking at someone and accepting as final the evidence of the senses, There is someone who brought out into his own world, say, disease. He is trying to analyze it from the outside. When did I contract the bug? When did I come in close contact with someone who had the bug? And they are taking me into the laboratory with my blood and try to find it there. You will never find it there, in spite of all the wisdom of man. You will find it only in the consciousness of the individual who, at a moment now long forgotten, planted the thing he is now harvesting. And you are not going to find it in any external analysis at all, because things seen were never made of things that do appear. You are warned time and time again in all the books of the Bible, but especially in that 11th chapter of the book of Hebrews, that things seen were not made of things that do appear. But no man believes it. He insists on finding it in things seen. So he extracts my blood, he extracts a little piece of my skin, and he starts to make an analysis of that. And he will tell me, yes, he has found it. It's in my blood. I am not denying he has found it. In my blood. But why is it in my blood? It is in my blood, or in my body, or in my world. Because at some point in time, I, exercising the right as a free child of God, singled out some unlovely state relative to another. It need not be to myself. It could be to another, wherein I rejoiced in the hurt of another, where my emotional response to the news I heard was good. So I set it in motion. But when it happened in my world, I did not think it was so good, but it was my harvest. And all these things are the harvest of things you and I have planted. For all things run true to form. Don't be surprised at the suddenness in our world. Someone is ill. It is only sudden because we have forgotten. And man's memory is very, very short. You know that lovely little poem of George Meredith, "Forgetful is green earth. The gods alone remember everlastingly. They strike remorselessly and ever like for like. By their great memories the gods are known." If man could only remember these moments of seed time, he would never be surprised when the harvest appears in his world. But because he has no memory as to that moment in time when he dropped that seed, which is simply his emotional response to something he contemplated, something he overheard, something he observed, at that moment, the thing was done. He didn't have to labor to bring it to harvest. He simply encountered it as something already full grown. So he reaps now that on which he bestowed no labor outside of choice. He selected it by his attitude, by his reaction. Now, am I responsible for others in my world? I certainly am. When I take my little mind, my little imagination, and think because it's mine, my Father gave it to me, that I can simply misuse it. It isn't going to hurt another. I tell you, you do have to use more control, for the simple reason I am rooted in you, and you are rooted in everyone, and all of us are rooted in God. There is no separate individual detached being in my Father's kingdom. We are one. I am completely responsible for the use or misuse of my imagination. Do you recall seeing on TV a dramatized version of the sinking of the Titanic? Do you recall it? Have you read the book, A Night to Remember? Well, the book itself is by Walter Lord. But 14 years before the actual harvest, or that frightful event of the sinking of the Titanic, a man in England wrote a book. He conceived this fabulous Atlantic liner, and there he built her, just like the Titanic, only the Titanic was not built for 14 years. But he, in his imagination, conceived the liner of 800 feet. She was triple screw. She carried 3,000 passengers. She carried few lifeboats because she was unsinkable. She could make 24 knots. And then one night, He filled her to the brim with rich and complacent people. And on a cold winter night, he sunk her on an iceberg in the Atlantic. 14 years later, the White Star Line builds a ship. She is 800 F-50. She is a triple screw. She can make 24 knots. She can carry 3,000 passengers. She has not enough lifeboats for passengers. But she, too, is labeled unsinkable. She is filled to capacity with the rich, if not complacent, but the rich, because her passenger list was worth in that day. When the dollar was 100 cents, $250 million was the worth of the passenger list. Today, it would be $1 billion. All the wealth of Europe and the wealth of this country was sailing on that maiden voyage out of Southampton. 5 nights at sea in this wonderful, glorious ship, and she went down on a cold April night on an iceberg. Now that man wrote a book, either to get something off his chest, because he disliked the rich and the complacent, or he thought it might sell, or he thought this is the means of bringing him $1 as a writer. But whatever was the motive behind his book, which, by the way, he called futility, to show the utter futility of accumulated wealth. But the identical ship was built 14 years later and carried the same kind of a passenger list and went down in the same manner as the fictional ship. Is there any fiction? There is no fiction. Tomorrow's world is today's fiction. Today's world was yesteryear's fiction, the dreams of men of yesteryear. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could talk with someone across space and just use a wire, and I couldn't see that one? It would be a mile away, beyond the range of my voice. Then maybe 5 miles, and maybe 1,000 miles. Fantastic dreams. Then they came true. When they came true, suppose I could do it without the means of a wire. And it came true. Suppose now I could do it not just in an audio sense, but in a video sense. Suppose I could be seen. And that came true. But when they were conceived, they were all fictional, all unreal. There is nothing unreal because God is infinite and God has finished creation. You cannot conceive of something that your Father has not only done and conceived of it, it is worked out in detail, in all its ramifications. You and I are only becoming aware of increasing portions of that which already is. We are not making a thing. We are discovering God's wonderful world. But now in this church, at least here it should be done. For this is a church of the mind. This is science of mind, where there is a science to planting, and you do it in a certain scientific manner. You just don't walk the street and reflect, read the papers and reflect. You go out a more positive person than people who gather in similar areas, for the simple reason they go just to hear a service and to be told how bad the world is. You're not coming here to be told how bad the world is, for if you believe it is bad, there is something you must do about it, because you have planted the world. You have your seed time. So here people gather to be told how to operate this wonderful gift that the Father gave them. There is this wonderful mind and imagination. So you are told to go out and be choosy in your selection. Single out that aspect of reality to which you want to respond. Success, health, dignity, nobility, something wonderful that you contribute to the good of the world. As you walk by, you are contributing to society. You contribute to the community in which you live. Not necessarily by giving dollars, but you contribute by your wonderful seed time. If, in your community, you see the need of maybe a church, you see the need of some wonderful school, you don't wait until people get together. You actually, in your mind's eye, contemplate the joy that is yours because of the wonderful school here, for the children, a wonderful church here to lift man spiritually. And you wonder what it would be like were it true. You feel the thrill of witnessing it within. That is seed time. Then, in a way that you do not know and you need not labor to produce, you will encounter that school and that church and these lovely things in your community. So, you plant the seed and let others who think that they are bringing it into being, let them think so. You go about this world planting the good. That is why you are here. We are gathered here on Sunday mornings to discover more and more about this wonderful gift that God gave us, that we may single out all the lovely things in the world and bring them to birth in our world. This morning, you take not only yourself, start with self, then turn to a friend in your mind's eye and congratulate him on his good fortune. Congratulate him on his expansion in his world, and actually feel the thrill of such contact. At that moment of response, that was a changed attitude in regard to that friend. At that moment, you planted. Now, in a way you do not know and you need not know, that seed is going to go through its normal, natural, hidden passage and appear as a reality in your world. Then you will know the power latent within you, and you will stop reflecting life, and you become one, what I call a true creator, in the sense that I mean creator, that you are creating by selecting wise, lovely things in this world and giving them expression in this world of ours. So that's what I mean by seed time and harvest, the importance of the right attitude. And you can do it. You need not wait for circumstances to change. You need not wait for the stimulus of a change in the object to produce in yourself the change of attitude. In your office, does the boss act in a rude way towards you? Well then, what would it be like if he now saw in me the lady, the helpful person that I really am or want to be? Suppose he saw in me someone he could praise for my work and raise me in the salary world. Give me an increase in salary because of my added effort. Suppose he could see that in me. Well, contemplate the boss seeing that in you as though he saw it and rewarded you with an increase. That moment is the moment of planting. It may not come tonight. It may not even come this week in the paycheck, but it will come. You simply keep on planting the lovely things. But if every day when you leave the office you say, "What a skinflint," and you go home and you discuss him with your mother or your husband or someone else, and they sympathize because they really believe you, for they are playing the same reflective, negative approach to life. But if as you ride home or walk home, you walk in the attitude that he had done it, he had increased your income, he had praised your work, and day after day, in spite of other things to the contrary, you persist in it, do you know he will do it? You will produce in him the change of heart, because you first produced it in yourself. And he will see in you qualities that he cannot now see. And then your whole vast world begins to blossom. You do it in every sense of the word. You know someone who is lonely, one who really should be happily married in this world. What would it be like if you were told, not by the individual necessarily, but by a third party, of the good news concerning John, concerning Mary, or someone else? Someone desirous of a lovely home and a gracious home. What would it be like? Don't be envious. Try to rejoice. Feel the joy that is theirs, and that moment is seating for them. They will harvest it, and that is our opportunity to go through the world planting and planting wisely. Unfortunately, too many of us in church movements. I don't think you will find it in this church. But too many of us in church movements have a very serious attitude towards life. And, of course, the basic attitude is the attitude towards life, not necessarily the individual attitude towards an object or towards an individual, but the attitude itself that the individual adopts through life, towards life. And they have a very serious one. Well, Orridge very wisely and very humorously said, the serious attitude is this. They really believe that God has an enormous struggle against helpless odds. And he said that produces in the individual the emotion of helping poor Father. They go to help poor Father, who has created the world and gave it to his children. Now he brought up another interesting point of the scientific attitude towards life. Having discovered the little molecule, or the little atom, and the wonderful construction, that is, theoretically, having discovered this wonderful orderly construction of the bricks that make up the world, their attitude is one of orderly insignificance, because they believe the world is gradually burning itself out. So no matter how orderly it is, if they really believe the sun will eventually go out and the earth will consume all its resources, what other attitude could they adopt than all dressed up with nowhere to go? Because if eventually it is all going to be in nothing anyway, no matter how orderly it is today, it could only be orderly insignificance. But I tell you, as one who has seen beyond the veil, there is no such thing as coming to an end. Life is forever and forever and forever. And forever you are moving up this everlasting pilgrimage, revealing the infinite glories of your Father. So go out wisely today. Go out determined to become more selective, more discreet in your choice of ideas. You will entertain and single out the idea that would bless an individual and produce in yourself the emotional response that you have witnessed that state in his world. And know at that moment of response, you planted for that individual, and he is rooted in you. There is no such thing as he will not be found in your world, for he is rooted in you. Everyone is rooted in you. Therefore, you will not lose them. It is planted relative to that being, and that being is going to harvest it. And you will know the harvest when it appears in his world. You simply plant and let the harvest take care of itself.
All right, and we're back. That was the end of the tip lesson titled Seed Time and Harvest. Just wanted to play out that final 20 minutes or so of that tip. We're going to go over some of what Neville spoke about in that last 20 minutes. Not all of it, but just key points and some of the things that he had mentioned. All right. So, seed time and harvest, cause and effect. You know, that's another way to look at it. You know, as within, so without, as above, so below. Are also other ways to look at it. Okay. Neville was mentioning that you can act as a medium, you know, for your friend or family or anybody. In what sense? If you know, say you have a friend of yours that's, you know, applying for a new job, and they told you about it, and you can then rearrange what was told. You can then go back into your mind and say, they told another friend who came and told you that they got the job. So you can hear someone else telling you that, oh, you know, say, not how I got the job, you know, um, but you're doing that in your mind. You know, you're doing that in your imagination. What up, G? You know, you are not experiencing it in the sense of the flesh. You're experiencing it in the sense of your imagination. You have constructed um, something that, though it may be imaginary or never mentioned here, fictional, there is no such thing as fiction. Never has a lesson on that. There is no fiction. It's fiction only because it's unseen. But the unseen becomes in due time seen. So therefore, if it was fiction, it would never become realized. Okay, so there's no such thing as fiction. Everything exists. Everything is possible. But when it's out of your sight, it appears to be fictional. But the mind or your awareness is non-fiction. Everything exists. Okay. Um, so he's saying that you can hear for a friend what the friend desires to experience or to have. You can hear it for them, and you become that medium. So when you're interacting with your imagination, you are using those individuals, the friend that comes to you about the job, and maybe someone else um, telling you, or you can hear your, let's just say, you and your partner, right? You and your partner have a mutual friend. The friend mentions to one of you, or maybe to both of you, um, I'm looking for to relocate or whatever, but you know, it's giving me a hard time. Um, haven't been able to, find the new job yet, trying to transfer or whatever, because that could be a challenge at time. So you can hear your partner, husband or wife, you can hear them saying to you, um, say, say, such and such got the transfer that he or she was looking for. She just called me and tell me. So you're saying that to yourself within your imagination, as just to yourself. You're not even telling your partner, you're not telling the person, your friend, anything about it. You're just acting in mind. And devil says that, that way will present itself. That is you being the person. Because remember, we're all one. My imagination and yours are the same, which is one. It's like all water is the same, H2O. You understand? So it might have different location, different amounts, but nonetheless, whatever the amount is, it is one with all other waters around. That's why you can mix and intermingle, because it's all H2O. You understand? So the same thing with consciousness. All of us have the same consciousness. It's just that it is like our home, separated in terms of water coming into the home. Everybody get their own meter or their own pipes and use it as they may. But it is the same water from outside the street coming into all the homes. Everybody's getting the same water. You understand? Therefore, if there's an issue with the main supply, everybody get cut off. That should prove to you right there. It's all the same. Okay? So we're all sharing the same consciousness, but it is divided up as the many. So we can all have our own individual decision-making desires and so on and so forth. So we have a unique experience. But at the same time, something that you may have created for yourself or desired or invented, I can also enjoy it. Like I enjoy flying in the airplane or driving a car. I don't mean met them, but whoever was responsible has given me the opportunity to also experience and enjoy their desires that they had. Okay, so we're all enjoying each other's moments, and unfortunately, even the bad ones too. Whoever conjured up the bomb, unfortunately, or the gun and all these different things, these are the same things that come back around to hurt people. And you never had nothing to do with it. All those things were created long, long before you were even born. But your awareness, being the same as theirs, can draw it into your experience. You understand? Because it's all the same awareness. So that means you have to be very careful, as Never says, of your thoughts or what you become aware of. It says that you are infinite, meaning that you know all things. So when people say, why is the devil? The devil gets all these blame. Are the devil, you know? If it's the devil, then God is not infinite. That makes sense? If it's some other being other than consciousness, then consciousness is not all-knowing, all-powerful, you know, all-present. Oh, that makes sense. If there's another being that knows evil, so-called evil, and consciousness, who's all-knowing, does not know it, then consciousness is not all-knowing. It's absolute madness. You cannot say something is all-knowing, but there's another entity that knows this section of awareness that it does not know. So how are you all-knowing? You understand? These are the things that are mind-boggling that people have not sat down and contemplate. Never use an example about the piano. He said that the piano, every string on the piano, you know, playing in one by one doesn't really make sense. You know, it not even sound good. You know, if you play them one by one, they don't sound good. They make no sense. There's no harmony whatsoever. He says it has 88 strings or whatever, or notes, 88 notes. It don't make no sense if you play them one by one. There's no harmony there. It's not telling you nothing, just making a bunch of noise. You know, same thing with the guitar. If you do it like that, so but they all exist to create harmony, to create a music. You know, when you add these two to this one, it becomes a melody. And when you create another melody on this side, you cannot use this one because it's going to be off. It's not going to make any sense. So you have to use a different chord over here to create the melody that you're desiring. But notice that while you're creating this melody, you cannot use these. And while you're creating these, you cannot use those. You understand? But they all have to exist to create their own melody. Or else you wouldn't have all these different keys, whatever they are, you know, A, G, D, E, all these different notes that's on the guitar or the piano, in this case, they all have to exist. Nothing can exist separate and apart from consciousness. It's all one. You understand? So the so-called good, bad, and the ugly, they all have to exist within consciousness because they are necessary. If you look at a number system, you have 0 is in the middle, and to the right and the left are the same numbers, except, you know, one side is negative, one side is positive. What is that telling you? If I have 1, or if I say I have 5, and I want to cut 5 to 4, how do I do it? What part of the number system can I use to subtract 4 from 5? It must be on the negative side. I must go to that side and say, I'm going to take the -4 and add it to the 5 and it's going to leave me 1. When I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces up, I'm going to see that it's going to leave me 1. You understand? The number system is perfect. If you take out that 4, that -4, I said, we don't want a -4. You only want 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, and so on and so forth. Then how do you subtract 4 from 5? How you do it? If you're measuring something, how do you subtract? If you've cut the thing too big, how do you subtract from it if that measurement cannot be subtracted? So you see, there's no positive or negative. Everything just is. You understand? We're the ones that give these things name or nature or identification for the purpose of communication. But in all essence, there's no such thing as good or evil or positive or negative. Everything just is. It's what you do with it that determines the description or the experience. So the number system, if you notice, is one line in opposite directions, right or left. But it's not 2 different number system. It's 1. 1 going right, 1 going left, starting at 0. You know, it's all 1. None of the numbers cannot be dismissed. They all have to exist, or else nothing not gonna work. You understand? They are opposite ends of the same coin. You have to have a head, you have to have a tail. So that was one of the things I was talking to on the that live last night. I was up until after 2 o'clock this morning with these people. And you know, I was just putting in there, who's the devil? Where's the devil? You know, what's his role? How is he separate from God? You know, how is he different? If he's given his own power different from God, then God is not all-knowing. And as a matter of fact, there's nothing you can do to Satan if you lack what Satan has. You understand? Because in order for you to negate something, you have to have that same power to negate it. Your power cannot be less. It have to be the same. You understand? Can't be less. Okay? For you to bring 1 to 0, you have to use a negative 0, -1. You understand? You can't use nothing less. They have to equal to bring it to a halt. You understand? So everything is perfect in the number system. Everything is perfect in consciousness. All things must exist. The piano is perfect. You don't know how to play it. That's why it sounds like it sounds. But when you become conscious of music and melody and harmony, you learn how to play the thing properly. You understand? I realized that I could not do without the one over here or the one over here. Everything makes sense. You understand? So when you see a piano is made or a guitar, all that is coming from the same makeup of consciousness. It has to equal to consciousness, or else it would not work. It would not make any sense. And who has consciousness? No man. That's why everything we make is perfect. You understand? Everything we make is perfect in its operation. What is lacking is the understanding of those who are novice to it. But everybody has their capability to learn this thing and work it perfectly, because we also, the ones who did not make the thing, have the same consciousness that made it. That's why we can learn it. It's not rocket science. Yeah, okay? If I want to be a doctor right now, I can be a doctor. You understand? I just go to medical school. I have the same mind that the doctors have, but I don't have that ambition to be a doctor. You understand? So We all have the same capabilities. Nobody's better than anybody. Um, Never mentioned here, things seen are not made of things that does not appear. What does that mean? Things seen are not made of the things that do appear. So he was talking about a story about a guy who may have contracted some disease. And the guy knows going to blame this particular disease that's going around, not realizing that you contracted or attracted the disease. You contracted the disease because you attracted it in mind by whatever way you did. Worry, imagining it, fear of it, whatever. You're still attracting this particular disease. And if you end up with it, it's not something that came from someone else. It first came from you. So Neville is not saying that you did not pick it up from somebody, you know. What Neville is saying, you first picked it up in mind. So it didn't appear in you from someone else. It appeared in you from you. You understand? It was an invisible creation, an invisible awareness, oftentimes unconscious. Because like I say, you're watching TV, you're hearing all this stuff going on, and you planted a seed, and there must be a harvest. The harvest is you contracting this thing, whether it be COVID or whatever. I've had COVID twice, you understand? And so I know what I know. I'm not surprised if I contracted COVID. I know I did it. You understand? Some way, somehow I entertained the foolishness or whatever and stuff like that. You know? So you have to know these things, that things don't just happen. There is always a cause. What happened is the effect, but there must be a cause. And a cause cannot be physical. Just cannot be. It always has to be mental. It always has to be spiritual. It always has to be from consciousness. You know, the cause is always the seed, and the effect is the harvest. You can't have a harvest without a seed. There has to be seed time plus harvest. One cannot. The harvest follows, the seed precedes. Signs follows. The signs are the harvest, but they can't proceed. You know, there must be something that came before, but people don't understand that. You know, that everything is by way of consciousness. So when something happens to you, or you're experiencing something, whether it be good or bad or indifferent, it always started from you. But most of the time, we have no awareness of that. You understand? So this is the main part I want you guys to understand from seed time and harvest. We are always the cause. A harvest is simply experiences, circumstances, you know, things that you encounter, whatever it may be. That's a harvest. And if you encounter it, you are the parent or parents of it. Your conscious and subconscious mind are the parents of all your experiences. Okay? They are husband and wives, they're father and mother. All right? They're the ones who you truly are. That's your true marriage from consciousness. Okay? A marriage on the outside is not really a marriage. That's just man-made stuff. You understand? To identify, your commitment to each other, whatever. But your true marriage, your real marriage, is your conscious and subconscious. The problem is, though that marriage has always been, it's only really true when you recognize that's who you really are. The day you recognize that, that's when you officially become married. Meaning your awareness of it is like the ceremony. You've just been engaged the whole time, conscious and subconscious, but you don't know that's who you are. Just an engagement, and the minute you recognize it, that's when you had the sermon. That's when you say, "Oh snap! I'm not flesh. I'm not man. I'm not a woman. I'm consciousness. I'm awareness." That's the day that you have your ceremony, your marriage ceremony, and you can now create, um, as him say, um, you're no longer creating outside of marriage, meaning that you now understand who you are, and everything takes the conscious and the subconscious, and you are the one planting seeds. Everything you experience is you. You know all these things now. So now you are operating effectively, and you're no longer, as I say, procreating or having kids out of wedlock. You understand? You now know everything is you. Okay? All the other nonsense about a man and a woman having kids out of wedlock, absolute foolishness. Okay? That has nothing to do with spirituality or not pleasing God and all this foolishness. Okay? Perish that thought. Okay? All that stuff is man-made, cultural, is cultural. Some people in some places don't get married. No ceremony. So it's about those people. They might displease God? No. It's just their culture. That's how they do things. Everything we do is by choice right here. But your consciousness is always married, but it's an engagement. The day you recognize who you are, that's the day you have the ceremony. You become the the pastor, so to speak, the minister, and the witness, and the two getting married, the two being joined together all at once. Okay, so Never mentioned something very interesting here. Him say he mentioned about the Titanic. I've heard about this story before. The Titanic, there was he said this guy from England, 14 years before the Titanic, um, before the Titanic sunk, wrote a book titled Futility. Now, I saw something else about that. I don't know if I the same story, but it says the ship was named the Titan, Titan, the Titan. There was a story written about a ship named the Titan, and the ship sunk. The ship was said to be unsinkable, all these different things. And it's interesting how they named this actual ship the Titanic. So I'm wondering if that was taken from that story and called it the Titanic. I don't know. Consciousness is something else. That could have been they simply named it the Titanic. I don't know. I have to do some more research on that. But it's interesting how one was called the Titan, one was called the Titanic, the one that actually sunk. The Titan, or this book that the guy wrote 14 years before, was just so-called fiction. Remember, I never just said there's no thing as fiction. That was a fictitious book. But it came from his consciousness. You understand? And it was 14 years before. And he wrote the ship as being made with over 800 feet long, can hold 3,000 passengers. It was sailing the Atlantic, and he had the ship crash and sunk. For whatever reason, never said maybe it was because he hated rich people. He was just playing around, maybe just trying to sell books, creating something dramatic. Who knows? I mean, that's what they do with movies, right? They create all this dramatic stuff. And 14 years later, the Titanic was made and sunk exactly the same way. Now, you might say to yourself, so boy, but those people weren't around 14 years, where they weren't aware of that 14 years before. They weren't thinking about that. Where did they attract this madness, this bad circumstance from happening to them? And consciousness has a way of just bringing things into being based on, like I said, your subconscious mind. Because these people were told over and over that the ship is unsinkable. Now, if you know anything about the law of attraction, it's not what you don't want, it's what you focus on. Everyone was so aware that the ship was unsinkable, they were too focused on the ship sinking, being attracted or attached to the word sink. Unsinkable. That would mean that if something is unsinkable, you have to be thinking about the ship sinking. You have to have that awareness that why the ship can't sink in, but them said this one is unsinkable. So their awareness was attached to it. And it happened on the first voyage, unfortunately. But there was such a grand orchestrated awareness by so many people, the ones on the boat and the ones offshore, the ones who were not the family and friends. Everybody was, I'm sure, was concerned. It's the first time the ship will go and it's in the Atlantic. And ship has sunk before, or else they would not have mentioned the ship was unsinkable. So people were aware that ships sink all the time. You understand? And so that guy that created that scenario in mind, not even sure if he was still alive when it happened, but that would be interesting. It's something that he projected, that he put out there in the ether. You understand? He projected that in mind, and probably was very emotional about it. Was very angry. Was very hopeful that something like this could happen to these rich people. He of course, rich people all the time and stuff like that. And he called it futility. And somebody wrote a book after the fact called A Night to Remember. But that book was written before that. Futility was written before that to describe such a horrific scene of a boat sinking. So what that guy wrote was a seed, and the harvest was the sinking of the Titanic. An unfortunate situation, but like I said, these things don't happen, as we would say, by coincidence or accident. Everything happens because you were somewhere, somehow conscious of it, usually in the subconscious. The program is usually there. Unlike pressing a button on your computer or your phone, you press the button and it gives you what you press. It initiates something. And sometimes it just takes that seed of awareness of a certain thing, and you plant it, you have just initiated an outcome, and you don't even know it. So so never there, we're just trying to emphasize that this thing doesn't have to be something that you thought about yesterday or last week or last year. This could be years ago that you planted the seed, and the harvest, came and confronted you years later. You understand? So you don't recognize your harvest because you don't remember what you planted. But forget about recognizing your harvest. What you need to recognize is that it is you. You are the one that planted the seed regardless. You know, I just want everybody to recognize that. Now, if you are aware of that, if you become aware of that, that is so helpful. That is so helpful in your journey of awareness, in your journey of spirituality. Because as never said in a post that I put in the chat, that you can go back and revise your past. You can go back and revise it. You know, um, I was taught years ago of what I call it now, an exercise or exercise mental, that when you we do it all the time, we think of some foolishness. When you think of something negative, um, don't leave it be. Um, cancel it right away, meaning to uproot it, you know. But oftentimes, when things confront us, are the things that two things, we either ignored what we had said or thought, or we did not know that we had planted the seed. Most of it is you're unconscious when you did it. You didn't know. But then there are other times when you know, but you just said, sure, I don't know that, and you just ignore it. So ignorance and being unaware, those two things, you know, ignoring something, that ignorance I'm talking about, not paying any attention. Sure, I don't know. It's just a saying, as they taught us in Jamaica. Just a saying, man. It don't mean nothing. It's not harmful. Somebody ask you, beg your money, you know? Well, I'm broke like dog, you know, or I'm not money. You're constantly saying these things, you know, and you wonder why you struggle all the days of your life. Or if you get any money, you somehow lose it. Either give it away, spend it off, or lost it, whatever. Because you've conditioned your subconscious mind all these years in innocence, thinking that it don't really affect any part of your life. It's just a cliche, or just a little saying or nothing. And we don't understand that your awareness has a long memory, and you might consciously forget, but your subconscious mind doesn't forget. Has a long memory. Conscious mind has short memory, subconscious long memory. You understand? And you can always go back. But what I want you guys to understand is, instead of trying to go back and fix the past mentally, is to fix the present. If you think of something negative, which we always do, we all do it, you uproot it right then by just saying cancel, cancel. So I was taught this exercise when I discovered the secret back in 06. And I'm not saying they just tell us, they showed us how to do it. It was an actual exercise. And I didn't know if everybody was even paying attention or was even believing it. But I believed it. I accepted it. I trusted what they were telling me, because these people who were showing us how to do these things were successful. They had proof. And I've never experienced anybody telling me about my mind in a business. This was a business meeting. It was like a convention. And this guy, who I hold as my mentor, he does not even know it. Robert Dean, a black guy from Atlanta. This guy had white people, black people, everybody in this big old convention. I'm talking about thousands of people, showing everybody the secret. And I'm like, whoa, this guy is powerful, you know. And to be black at the time, I'm saying, how did he get these people to do this? to be showing everybody, black and white, Chinese, whoever was there, and at every meeting we went to, they showed the secret over and over and over. That's when I started to wake up, watching The Secret, understanding the law of attraction. It never made sense to me in the beginning watching it. I'm like, this doesn't make no sense. Is that really how things go? You know? But the more I watched it, the more it started to ring a bell, and I started to shed all the foolishness that I used to accept and believe. I started to realize that this thing is true. You understand? That was the first thing that opened me up to what Nev was talking about: seed time and harvest, the law of attraction. You understand? You're always planting seeds and attracting the harvest. Those mental seeds you plant, you're going to reap them. You understand? And so they would teach us purposefully, not in the big audience. This was like a more separate exercise that we'd all coming together in a room, and we exercise our mind on how to train your mind on how to cancel anything negative that you may have conjured up or thought of and stuff like that. And even though I've learned the exercise, yes, there's plenty of time where I've messed up. You understand? And still forgot that it was I who did it. Getting lost in the world and all kind of foolishness, not being really, really conscious. That's what they call this thing, consciousness, Consciousness just means to be always aware. You understand? We live too unconsciously or subconsciously. Even though your subconscious is your higher mind, your higher self, your deeper mind, as they would call it, the conscious mind is the culprit. It's too wishy-washy and forgetful and loses awareness. Too many things taking our attention at the same time. And we lose consciousness of what we're saying, what we're thinking, what we're doing. But if you can always remain aware, conscious, no matter what I go on, I don't care where you are. You're at a movie, dance, whatever you're doing. You're having an argument or a discussion, always be conscious. So when my wife and I get into any little spots or whatever, when I would used to carry on, I don't do that no more. I just go within. You understand? I don't carry on the argument or the conversation. Best thing to do is walk away or tune out what you're hearing, because it is going to get to your emotions and you're going to plant more seeds. So being conscious is the best thing you can ever be. Conscious meaning of how your mind works, how your consciousness works. Always be mindful of that. That's the one thing I got from the Secret when I first watched it. It was Abraham Hicks and Oscar. I said, so I'm supposed to be always conscious of what I'm thinking, aware of what I'm thinking. She said, yeah. But not live in fear or whatever, but just always be conscious of what you're thinking. That is our problem. We are not. We think them says 60,000 thoughts a day. Can't remember all of them. And this is why we've been told or taught to pray before the sun goes down. But we've been taught to pray the wrong way. You understand? And as the prayer teaches you, the Lord's Prayer, to forgive those who trespass against us, but also to forgive all my trespasses. This means all my mistakes or wrong thinking. Forgive those, you know, that is you going back and revising the day, revising the past, like Never says, uprooting all those seeds. But we don't do that stuff. And this is why these things come back to pop up in our lives, because we never revise the day, we never revise the week, the month, or any particular thing. So, you know, every now and then I just go within and I just think directly on anything that negativity that I had initiated, or never say we don't really create, we just select, but for lack of a better term, created in my mind. And I just forgive it by just simply saying, cancel, cancel. You know, I cancel these things, you know, and just being aware of it makes all the difference. You know, if I'm ever disappointed from anything or something that didn't go through the way I wanted it to, I don't get caught up in the emotions. I now know what to do. I reorganize or rearrange the scenario in mind. I uproot the seed, plant a different seed. Whatever I was told, not goes up. I don't care what it is. And I just wait. You know, a guy walked into the shop the other day, last week, with some massage chairs. And I remember I planted that seed a while back about massage chairs. I remember looking at massage chairs, might have been like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. Guy that's walking in the barber shop out of nowhere said he was driving by and he saw the barbershop signs, and he wasn't even coming to my shop, him say. He was going somewhere else, but I have the flags out and everything, and him said, let me try the barbershop here. And as he was telling me, I already know what's happening. That's the greatest thing about awareness. I already know, it's no surprise. I know I planted that seed a while back. That was my harvest. You understand? And I wasn't questioning why is this happening or whatever. I already know. The moment it happened, I knew that was my seed that I planted. And came like a thief in the night. I wasn't really even thinking about that stuff at that particular time. But what I've been mentally thinking of these days is how to add more services to the shop, how to increase my income, all these different things I'm becoming aware of. So when this guy popped up, that was me drawing this guy in, you know, and he's looking for somebody too, for his product and what have you. So we're both on the same wavelength. We're on the same frequency. That's why he showed up where I was, you know. So when you understand awareness like that, and you are really conscious of it like that, that's when it becomes real powerful. And at the same time, I have to be very careful what you think or imagine or entertain. So a lot of time it's just entertaining. It's not even what you're thinking or imagining. It's just what you entertain. Like never say you plant a seed because you got emotional about the president's the president the election or the debates. You're getting excited about it or mad or whatever. You're planting seeds. Let all that stuff go. You understand? Them can't help you. You are your own president. Help yourself. No matter what's going on in the world, no matter who the president is, the, Reverend Ike always says this. No matter what the president, Democrat or Republican, you know, things are going to always be great. And the ones who believe because it's a Republican president or a Democratic president, things are going to go bad, things will go bad for them. I promise you. They'll be in their good job, and the job go to business. And I'm going to say, see it. I tell you that when such and such win, everything will go down. And the one that believes that if Trump win or Biden win, everything will go up. Whoever wins, the person who believes that, I don't care what other negatives is happening, that person's fortune is going to go up. Same man, you know. Same president, one person believe their fortune is going to go up, one believe it will go down. How is that possible? It's got to be your consciousness. Can't be the person. It's what you accept in your own consciousness. And people are going to call you lucky or bad lucky. You know? And you don't even know why. You know, unless you are aware. But you don't have to be aware of consciousness for these things to happen because you're built to operate as such. You don't have to have the awareness of who you are. But it is better when you do. Or else the world would not be so chaotic. We're so upside down, topsy-turvy because most people does not know what they are doing. They don't know who they are. That's a question they asked me last night. So, oh, you know so much about these things. Why are you so sure? I simply say, because I know who I am. And I know who you are too. But you don't have to believe me. One day you will.
But forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
What's up, G?
G Money, what's good, player?
I'm here, man. Just,
dropping those jewels, man. Beautifully said. As always, we'll give thanks for this present moment. You know what I'm saying? Give thanks to life. Give thanks to life energy for every single heartbeat. Give thanks to life energy for every single breath. I give thanks to life energy for all the relationships that are around me. You, CT, all you beautiful people on the chat. I give thanks to life energy for powering your vessels and all of your circles as well. And it is so. But yeah, G, I just always love the way you break it down, the whole Titanic thing. I never looked at it that way, but it definitely makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But I always say the thing that I use to cancel stuff, I always say sneeze everything. Sneeze everything. The only time, most of the time, time you hear somebody say "God bless you" is when somebody sneeze. When somebody sneeze, I always hear, "Oh, God bless you, God bless you." That's the only time people normally say "God bless you" or whatever, or "bless" or whatever. So I changed that. I use that concept for myself. Like whenever I'm thinking a negative thought or something, whatever, negative feeling, something try to come up on me, I just bless it. I sneeze it. I bless everything. Bless it. Bless it. That's my way of like canceling it out. And then I go and I think of, you know what I'm saying, positive stuff or things that are uplifting, things that I'm grateful for. You know what I'm saying? My kids, my wife. I start thinking about stuff like that, things that I'm grateful for. That always seems to get me back on track. You know what I'm saying? Um, Most of the time people they always plan for vacations and all type of other stuff what they want to do, but they never really program or plan their thoughts and their feelings. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that we have to do is to plan how you want to feel, pre-program That's what makes it more easier. You know what I'm saying? When you program how you want to feel, when you program what you want to think about, you know what I'm saying? It makes it easier for you to stay alert, to stay aware, stay conscious. You know what I'm saying? Consciousness is like an extreme alertness within, like you paying attention to what's going on around you, but most importantly, inside of you. And inside, when you pay attention to what's inside of you, you're paying attention to all your thoughts, all your feelings, your movements, your next step, what you're gonna do. All that stuff is consciousness. It's such a vast concept or word. Consciousness is so vast because there's so much stuff. You're paying attention to the laws. You're understanding that um, thoughts become things. You're understanding that mind creates everything. Your imagination brings things into reality. We turn water into wine. That's what it means when you turn water into wine, is to turn your imaginations into reality. So you're always turning water into wine. So you just got to stay alert, stay conscious, even though you wake up in the morning, your body's awake, but you have to be awake within. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are, yeah, their body's awake. They wake up, but they still asleep within, but they're not paying attention to what's going on inside of them. They're walking around feeling sorry for themselves. One of the new sayings that I always hear now is everybody's always saying "F my life." I'm like, what do people? Why the hell are they saying "F my life"? Like that's something cool to say. Like "F my life." What? They just don't know what, you know what I'm saying, what they're attracting by, you know what I'm saying or feeling those words "F my life." Like, hold on, like, and these people, if you look at them, nothing's going right within them or around them as well. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be careful with these little sayings, or you know what I'm saying. You have to be careful with these little cliches. Don't even use them. Just create your own cliches. You know what I'm saying? My life is beautiful, always, and everything, and everything. You know what I'm saying? The power that guides planets and solar system also guides all the blessings within my life. You know what I'm saying? Create your own stuff. You can use your imagination to create your own cliches. Everything around me always flows naturally and beautifully. You know what I'm saying? And you just say these things to yourself all throughout the day. And when you're planning your thoughts and your feelings, you're able to catch yourself when you fall off track. You know what I'm saying? When you start feeling something negative, you're able to, what? And then you're able to catch it and see, like, okay, it was that person who cut me off in traffic that kind of got me off track, or it was this lady who tried to jump in front. Whatever the situation is, you're able to catch it in that moment and bless it, sneeze it, bless that person. You know what I'm saying? That person that cut you off in traffic, bless him. You know what I'm saying? Bless him, bless his path. You know what I'm saying? Let him get to his destination safely, and everything around his life work beautifully. You don't know what that person is speeding for. Something could be happening. His wife could be pregnant. Something, you know what I'm saying? You never know. So you just gotta bless it, sneeze everything. You know what I'm saying? And just continue to always love yourself, man. Understand who you are. You know what I'm saying? God is within you. You are mind, body, and you are soul, spirit. Our soul is God itself. And your body is its vessel. You know what I'm saying? Your mind is its tool that it uses to create. So you have to understand who you are. So never spend time not loving yourself. You know what I'm saying? And if you love yourself, you have to love other people, because those same people are you as well. You know what I'm saying? So try not to have any type of enemies or anything. Try to hate anybody, because if you hate someone, you understand who that, if you truly understand who that person is, then you hate God. You know what I'm saying? Because that's, God is within that person as well. So you don't want to hate God. You always want to love God, but start with yourself. You know what I'm saying? Understand and know who you truly are. You know what I'm saying? If you can't believe that you are God, just believe that the thing that's inside of you that's powering you is, you know what I'm saying? And it makes it a little easier. I know it's kind of like too grand to believe that you are at times. Like it's too grand. Like, damn, am I really that dude? Am I really, you know what I'm saying? Because we've been told, or especially me growing up, I've been told that, I grew up Catholic. So the preacher every Sunday would say, one day God is going to come to judge the living and the dead, and his kingdom will have no end. Every Sunday, like clockwork, he would say, one day God is going to come to judge the living and the dead, and his kingdom will have no end. So I was always looking for God, like outside of myself. Is he behind the clouds? Is he behind the planets? Where is he coming from? He's not here now. You know what I'm saying? So that made me hate God. You know what I'm saying? I was always like, damn, how the hell can God just leave us like this, and all this war and killing and this and that? And you know what I'm saying? I was angry at God for a long, long, long time. Growing, I got say it again, G.
Progress itself.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Um, so that kind of like my mom would try to get me to go to church and all this stuff. I'm like, why would I going to go to church? God left us like this, you know what I'm saying? So once I understood like God is within, you know what I'm saying? God is I am that I am, you know what I'm saying? God is I am. I was like, I cried, man. Once I understood that God never left me and God is inside of me, like I cried, I begged for forgiveness, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I asked my soul to forgive me, like, you know what I'm saying? And all I felt was unconditional love, a feeling of this unconditional love just wash over me. I, I cried that night, you know what I'm saying? And then I was also grateful too and thankful, like, oh shoot, I am. You know what I'm saying? So it was also like that was one of my most that day right there was a very emotional day for me, man. But one of the passages that helped me to understand who I am is when the Sermon of the Mount, when God gave Moses whatever the Ten Commandments and scriptures, and Moses asked God, who should I say sent me? Like when you go back to the Hebrew people with these Ten Commandments, Moses asked God, who should I say sent me? You know what I'm saying? But he's basically asking God, what's your name? You know what I'm saying? And God responded, I tell them, I am have sent me unto you. I am have sent me unto you. When you get to the people, just tell them, I am have sent me to you, or I am have. So I'm looking at that passage, I'm decoding it like, hold on, bro. Like, if Moses is asking God who's his name, and God is saying his name is I am, like, hold on. I say I am. You know what I'm saying? Every time I introduce myself to somebody, I have to say those words. Hello. Either I say, hello, I am Caleb, or I'm Caleb. I have to say those words before I say my name. Hello, I'm Chris. Hello, I'm Sir T. Well, you have to say those words. So I started looking at the pastor like, hold on, am I God? I am? And all I can say is I am. You know what I'm saying? All I can answer with that is I am. You know what I'm saying? And that what woke me up to that passage right there woke me up to you know, where God truly is. You know what I'm saying? And G, can you hear me?
Come on.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what truly woke me up, man. And I was able to break that passage down some more. You know, when it says I am that I am, what that passage is really saying, I am that, I am also that, God is also this. Everything you see around you is God. You know what I'm saying? Every blade of grass, every tree, every bird, every dog, whatever it is around you, every being that you see, that's God. You know what I'm saying? Because God is everything. You know what I'm saying? Because God is elements. The periodic table, all the elements that you see on the periodic table, that's God. God is every single element that you see that we know, and every single element that we don't even know about. God is all those elements. And we are made up of elements. You know what I'm saying? Our body is made up of elements, electrons, protons, you know what I'm saying? The atom. God is every single element that you can think of, and we are elements. You know what I'm saying? Every single blade of grass is made up of elements. You know what I'm saying? The plastic cup is made out of elements. So God is every single element known, you know what I'm saying? So, and we are elements, you know what I'm saying? So once you understand that scientifically, you know what I'm saying, you understand that that's true, you know what I'm saying? Because God is life, God is existence, and existence and life can only create more of itself. That which exists, that which is also life. The tree is alive, the grass is alive, the animals are alive, so we are alive. So if you if we're life, we're also God, because God is omnipresent present. God is truly everything and everyone. It's just we walk around, you know, society teach us that we're separate from everybody else. We're an individual, you know what I'm saying? We're not individuals. That's why it's easy to kill the next man or the next woman, or to hate, you know what I'm saying, or to have enemies, because we're asleep. We don't know that God is everything and everyone, and it's experiencing itself through everyone. You know what I'm saying? It's creating its own experience through us. You know what I'm saying? So, and it designed that beautifully. You know what I'm saying? The way God designed that, everybody is looking for it in all the wrong places. You know what I'm saying? It's playing a game of hide and seek. You know what I'm saying? It chose to hide in the best spot that nobody would look. You know what I'm saying? And that's within. That's inside of us. And God is inside of us. God is around us. God is everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's playing hide and seek. But now I found it. So now you all found it too. So you guys can't say that you don't know who you are or where God is. So everything in life has some type of energy source. Everything in life has some type of power source. The car, if you try to start the car without the battery, it won't start. The remote control, you take out the batteries out of the remote control, try to turn on the TV, it won't start. You know what I'm saying? The stealth fighter jet, if you take that power source out of the jet, it won't go. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with us. The moment the soul, our power source, the spirit, whatever it is, decides it wants to leave the body, there's nothing that the mind and body can do to stop it. You know what I'm saying? When there's a lot of cemeteries where you can see that those power sources have left those vessels. You know what I'm saying? So everything is energy, everything is life, and just love life, love everything in life. You know what I'm saying? Try not to hate anything, whatever it is mushrooms, whatever it is, whatever vegetable you could think of. Don't hate it. Just choose not to eat it. You know what I'm saying? Choose not to eat it. Choose not to experience it. You know what I'm saying? But understand that it's part of life as well. So therefore it is as well. But yeah, G, we just gotta always understand that it's our fault. Everything that we're doing, everything that's coming into our life, you created that. I used to blame my mom, my dad, or if you guys would have did this, that's one thing I used to do heavily, is blame others, besides myself. But I've stopped doing that once I've understood this knowledge and understood that it is my fault. Everything that's happened to me is my fault. So now I don't do that no more. I stay alert. I program how I want to feel. I think about my family. I think about all the beautiful things that have happened to me. I give thanks. You know what I'm saying? Thankfulness is, I try to stay in that mode of thankfulness and gratefulness and focus on that. You know what I'm saying? Because whatever you focus on, that's what you bring upon you. You know what I'm saying? So I think about gratefulness. I think about um blessfulness, whatever it is, and that's what I'm asking for. You know what I'm saying? I try to feel thankful. I try to feel grateful, because it always says ask and it is given. So the way that you ask is through feeling. You're always feeling something. You're always feeling sad or whatever it is, grateful, blessed, happiness. So whatever you're feeling is what you're asking for. That's your point of attraction. That's your magnetic point of attraction. That's what you're asking the universe for. That's what you're asking yourself for, to experience more of whatever it is that is. So to ask is to feel. You know what I'm saying? So if you're feeling thankfulness, that's what you're asking for. That's what's going to come to your life. Those are the situations and experiences and events that will manifest in your reality to make you feel grateful, to make you feel thankful, to make you feel happy. You know what I'm saying? So try to stay there. You know what I'm saying? We've all felt what it is to feel sadness, worry, all that stuff. I know for a fact um love none of us would like to keep experiencing those negative feelings into our life. So just try to stay there. Try to just ask for, feel beautiful things, feel grateful, feel beautiful, feel thankfulness, you know what I'm saying? And give thanks in advance. Like, you know, when you say thank you in advance, whatever it is you're asking for, whatever experience, just give thanks for that experience in advance. I appreciate you in advance for, for this experience. You know what I'm saying? When you do that, you actually put the universe in motion faster. You're acknowledging the universe is working for you. When you do that, when you give thankfulness in advance, it actually goes to work for you immediately, faster. You know what I'm saying? And then just let it go, release it. Don't focus on it anymore. Just keep feeling grateful, keep feeling thankfulness. Go hug your kids, go, you know what I'm saying, hug your husband, your wife, whatever it is, go squeeze them because you know who that person is. Lift them up, turn them around. They're gonna ask you, what the hell this? What's wrong with you? What's going on? Just say nothing. Just just wanted to I do that all the time, G. I like just love on my family all the time for no reason, but I'm doing it for a reason too. So, but yeah, G, just understand who you guys are, man. You guys are powerful beings. Um, you don't need nothing else but yourself, you know what I'm saying, to create. You don't need no type of, you're born with all the tools. You were born with imagination. You were born with feelings. You were born with all the tools needed to manifest, to create in this reality. You know what I'm saying? You have given yourself the tools that you need. You know what I'm saying? You are your own savior. Stop waiting for the savior to come save you. You are your own savior. You know what I'm saying? So don't wait for nothing. Just love yourself no matter what, man. No matter what's going on around you, just love yourself. Yeah, G.
So much, that definition, very well articulated. Coming from your heart, everything you're saying is 100% factual. And the journey, your journey has been very good, or good to you. Getting to where you are now. All you can do is give thanks and be grateful, to use one of your words that you just mentioned there, gratitude, for having, knowing this, becoming aware of this knowledge of who you are. Once you learn this truth, this secret, this open secret, that's the weirdest thing about it, is an open secret. Um, you become very grateful because you you know how long you've been traveling or sojourning in this world in ignorance, while others already knew. And now you are, and we are, all of us here are aware of that said knowledge. I saw that awaken and remembering. I am Sir Marlon, come forth like Lazarus, sir.
Yeah, man. Grand Rising, blessed love, each and everyone.
Blessed.
Yeah, man. As Martha will come back. Give me about 5-10 minutes to come back if we have that amount of time. Because I kind of got busy, that's why I took out my hand. But I did wanna highlight something when G was talking, So so I come back.
All right, no worries, brother.
Yeah, man. Blessed.
Yeah, give them. Yeah, anyone else want to add their 2 cents to this conversation? Any acknowledgement? If you don't want to speak, you can type it into the chat. You know, nobody? If some of you guys weren't here earlier, I had mentioned that we're going to be changing up the format somewhat in the near future. Could be next week, could be the week after. Still working it out. Yeah, man. Yeah, be a sponge and soak it all up. Be wise. That's what I'm calling be wise. The wisest man always listen. Um, but we're going to change up the format somewhat. I guess when we come, we're going to be, talking more about a particular topic, something that, get us all into a ladder, get us all uh, thinking and, just putting things out there questions out there that we'll be answering right here on the show, um, about life in general, or, just these regular everyday spiritual discussions that, people have been having and stuff like that. So we just want to bring some more, uh, awareness and interaction, from here on the panel and also out there in the YouTube world. We're trying to grow the channel to attract more, conscious brothers and sisters, more of our like mind, and create a community, of this grand awareness, you know. Um, so that's our aim, that's our goal, is to get this thing to become bigger and broader, grow more tentacles, and start getting out there. Like I said last night, I was on a TikTok live, and these people are really, they were of many different denominations or different beliefs. Some of them were, what them call them, Hebrew Israelites, and um, church of this, church of that, and all these different beliefs and stuff like that. So right there, you can already see the confusion or the division, because you are introducing different arrangements of beliefs, or of doctrines, if you will. Meanwhile, they all, believe in one God, but they all have their own way. And so the entire time, all they're arguing about is, of course, the Bible, And that's what Christians do. That's what multiple denominations do. The one book, and so everybody have their own interpretations of the book. But though it be their own, the one thing that remains constant, they all believe is history. They all believe it's history. There's not one denomination out there, however many they are, but I know it's in the thousands. And there are more and more popping up every day, because every day somebody become a pastor and create their own denomination. You understand? But the one thing that's constant is that they all believe that the Bible is literal. They all believe it's history. And instead of interpreting the Bible, even though it's all over within, it tells you, which is some of the things that we're going to be discussing, in our new format and whatever. But it tells you that these stories are allegories, parables. All these things mean that these are stories that were written as if they were true. Notice it says as truth, but as if they were true. That's what they mean. Parables, allegories, metaphors. These are things that are said as if they were true. However, they have meaning. They have insight. Now, if the Bible was literal, why is it speaking in parables? Just come straight. You don't hide anything, because how am I going to be responsible if I have to, like when we read history, do you, use your head. When we read, any one of us here who study history, Have you ever studied history in a parable? It's not always straightforward. It's always straightforward. There's no mystery in history. It's always straightforward when you study history. Now, the history may have, lies in it, misdirections, false claims, and so on and so forth. But we do know the people they're talking about existed. What they may lie about is oh, did they really discover this? Did they really initiate this? What's the truth about this? But we know these people existed. When you read history. So how can we prove that when we read history and talk about these people, we can do a fact check, we can do a background check and realize that, yeah, these people had brothers and sisters and mothers, and this is where they were born, and all these different type of things. We have all these things highlighted, and when it comes to the Bible, these characters in the Bible, not one of them you can go back to and say, where's their descendants? Who did we descend from? Oh, somebody has to be related to Jesus at some point, don't it? Nobody ever asked that question. Who's related to Jesus? Paul, John, Mark, anybody? There got to be some relative somewhere. We never use these common sense inquiries to ask, what's the relationship? How can we all know that all of us who are here know, we never just fall out of the sky. Somebody gave birth to our foreparents until we came here. So there got to be some way, somehow. You have they do it now. When they call it ancestry, you can check your ancestry to say what tribe you came from. So how come we can't go back all the way to 2000? Before 2000, how come we can't check that? Where's the ancestry there? Somebody got to be related to Jesus. And Mary and Joseph, a mother and father. Somebody. Did they just, what happened? God destroyed the world again and started out with some different people? I mean, it's absolute madness. But nobody wants to have those discussions. So these are some of the things we're going to be discussing, here on the One Great I Am Awakening, because it's just too much madness, going on where people don't use their mind. Why do we have a mind? Carl just told you, your mind, your conscious mind, is your tool, which is used to think, to inquire, to ponder, wonder, not just believe or accept. You have a great responsibility with this mind of yours. But we just let people, like water, create a channel and send you wherever they want to send you. But the water can't resist, The water cannot say, hold up, I cannot go there. I don't want to go there. It has no ability to resist. None at all. But we're not water. Water might symbolize our attributes, our principles of sorts, our mode of operation, but we're not water. Unlike water, we can say, wait, where is this going? Where are we going? Why am I going there? We can control what we accept and what we don't. We're that powerful. And we're just tired of all the madness with people just accepting this garbage we've been told all of our lives. And it's so unfortunate because the book is a book of principles of the mind written to, you know, it's like a roadmap. And we've misconstrued it for the sake of money and power. As I was writing yesterday, I said, boy, when I met the white people, them fool away. You know, you guys have made these white folks fool us. You know, give us a white Jesus. Every day I look on this white Jesus on the wall with a sheep in their hand, saying he's the son of God. All this foolishness. We're done with them madness, man. You know, because we.
So, Chris.
Yes, sir, man.
Sorry, I mean to cut you out, but as I said that a while ago, I have to say this. You know what them do, you know, with that picture, you know, them play on people's conscience. What them do, them give soft, feminine features. Because them know everybody love woman. And them make him have that lamb. People love animals. And a lamb is supposed to be a tender loving animal. You understand? And they make sure so them paint him white. Now, we know, you know. You understand? But at the same time, I talk about how them play on human psyche. At the same way, you remember that Feed the Children ad where the man with a white beard come up and I must say if it's even 99 cents a day or 10 cents a day or something. What them do, you know, them show the children them with a fly always a pitch on them nose or them eyeball. And the kids them not blink. Every time they show the ad, them see him fly there. You like you get to know the flies them know, like them work for the people them. Think about it. Them play upon people's psyche. So you have no choice but to think about subscribing and sending your little dollar a month or your dollar every week. Because of the eyeball fly. You don't want to see that fly a pitch pan the little pick of them. You know what I'm saying? Listen, think about it, man. Say, at the same effect them use and thing for play upon people, for win them over and give them this nonsense. And now people, you have some people out there now, they will crucify you if you ever talk, if they ever hear you talking but against their religion and their God. You understand? Because this is the thing that was fed to them. You know? I just want to come and just say that, man. I just want to come forward and say and thing. But my other point, I probably gotta wait till next week or sometime. Because I'm kind of busy right now.
Okay.
But back to you.
You're right. You said something that they might try to crucify you. The people about even talk about their God or their religion. Notice you say now, their God, not God, you know. You talk about their God because everyone has created God in their own image. All these denominations have created their God in their own image. One book. But everybody pick apart the Bible and choose this and let them rewrite the Bible in their own way. Them choose parts of the Old Testament, part of the New Testament, then combine the old and the new, and then them said, no, the old didn't say that, and this is what it says in the new. This was the renew, this was the new covenant, and they have all these different, what I call it now, interpretations. So they're trying to interpret history. That is an oxymoron. Or you interpret history. You research history, not interpret history. Or you interpret that. It's either what it is or it's not. You can't interpret history. You research it. So when you spend your time, I try to say, this is what Jesus meant, or this is what Moses meant, and all this foolishness. You know, trying to interpret something that is not even history. So if you're trying to interpret it, you are in some way acknowledging that it is not history. It's a mystery that you're treating as if it's history. You've been lied to and make believe. I would not go on these programs on TikTok and I see all this madness as more proof. Everybody bickering, a beer cussing. Nobody can get a word out. Everybody's mad at each other. And I'm just there typing in, you know, my little 2 cents and what have you. And every now and then somebody try to take me on and stuff like that, you know. But and you realize that you cannot beat these people over their heads to try to get them to understand. They are completely sold out. You cannot. All you can do is sound the trumpet. Everybody will be saved, which means we'll come to the realization of who they are. But one at a time. If you have 1 million people outside of a stadium, all of them cannot get in at the same time. I don't care how you try it. It would never happen. They can't get in at the same time and they cannot leave at the same time. Everything is one by one. But they will all get in and they will all leave, you know, leave one by one as well. You know, everybody not born at the same time. You see people are born different day, different hours of the day, different minutes of the day. Somebody not come at the same time or leave at the same time. I mean, we all can't come at the same time, all can't leave at the same time. It's all relative. But did not all of us come here? And isn't it written that all of us will leave here, whether we like it or not? Everybody who come have to go. That is no secret. So why we believe this nonsense that only some people are gonna go and some people are gonna be and most people are gonna be burnt up. You want to get them last night, burn up in hell and all this nonsense. People still believe that garbage. So these are the things that we're going to be addressing, talking about more so. You know, Sir T and I and you guys here can, you know, chime in, chip in, give your 2 cents, you know, ask questions or make mentions of things that we were always curious about. We may know the answer, but was not able to kind of articulate it or confirm it. You know, deep down, you know, we know everything that we were told about the book was madness. We knew it was not history, but our parents made us accept it. You know, last night they're saying, well, Adam and Eve was not the first 2 people that God made. There were other people before. Well, we have to go by the book. That is it. That is insignificant because it's not a history book. So it doesn't matter. But if you see that's history, it does matter if there were people before Adam and Eve. Even though there's no indication based on the scripture that there were people before them, according to the creation story. You know, so I've listened to many books out there. There are books on Adam and Eve. There's an actual book called the Book of Adam and Eve that tells a similar story about the creation, and then it goes into other parts that we don't see in the Bible itself, or here that's talked about. You know, so it's almost like the Bible is a condensed version, or at least the creation story. But when you listen to this, when you listen to the book, it's pure madness. It's all supernatural stuff. The amount of time Adam and Eve did in that book, you wouldn't believe. Hundreds of times. So if them did that many times, how did Adam die at 930 years old later on? No, sure did already. Why they made it that far? And there's no story of Eve even dying. All these things we never really questioned. I never know that Eve never died. You know why we never know? The pastors them never address it. The parents never address it. Nobody ever mentioned it. All we knew that Adam died and him sons them. We didn't even know what age Cain died or what age Abel died. We don't know them some of them. And if you ask questions, them say you can't question God. You're not questioning God. I'm questioning you who's telling me about this story. I want to know. So I'm just grateful that I no longer follow that madness. And I can live my life in peace. You understand? Not worrying about going to hell and all this foolishness. Or even heaven for that matter. Because neither of those places are of any location. Heaven is who you are, not where you're from. That's who you are. And hell is just a state of being. You know? This place we live in right now, this is the hell that we've come to. And this is a state. The earth is a state of being. You understand? It is of no particular location. It's all a state of being that we're just aware of having this so-called earthly experience. Okay? Scripture says that the devil was cast out of heaven. Can you imagine that? What does that tell you? People now use them head. The devil was in heaven? Seriously? What does that tell you? It's just a story of telling you about consciousness leaving its divine state of being and coming down into something that it created. That is a reflection. As in heaven, so shall it be on earth. Whatever is loosed in heaven, whatever is loosed on earth on the earth must first be loosed on heaven, in heaven. And what is bounded on earth must first be bounded in heaven. What is that telling you? Heaven is the cause, the earth is the harvest. Heaven is the seed. Always been. The harvest is what is the earth, this experience. You know? As within, so without. What we're experiencing here is what exists in heaven. But this is a projection of it, physical manifestation of the silence, or the darkness, of the hidden, the unseen. And then we come here and continue broadcasting from a state of divine, knowledge. You know, we're still manifesting or projecting from heaven, our true state of being. You know, all things made are made in heaven. Nothing is made here on earth. Absolutely nothing. There are reflection. There is a seed. There's a cause first. Everything already exists. All we're doing is attracting, selecting, desiring what already is. And we are free will to do it. You know, so we're going to talk more into those things, come up with a topic, and we come here on the platform and we discuss it and stuff like that. And try to make things that does not make sense that we read in the Bible and make it make sense. You know. So the Bible, as we like to say before we go, the Bible is true because it's talking about you, your divine self, it's your autobiography. It is about your psychology, you know, your divine history, your imagination, never like to call it, your consciousness. That's what it's all about. It is of no particular men and women that existed at any particular time in history. I don't care what anybody says. Okay? If you study the Bible, the names, like I study them, study Hebrew, and all these different things, you will understand. These people could not have existed. The stories is not adding up. Everybody's doing in the book what they were supposed to do based on their nature, which is what name means. Everybody's doing what they were supposed to do based on their name. So it cannot be that these people had any control of what they were doing, if it's any history. They had no such free will.
They're just
What is it,
they're
G?
just states of mind, G.
The
I
states
said
of mind.
they're just states of mind. Yeah, just like Cain and Abel. Cain is I can't. Abel is I am able. So every time you say you can't do something, in that moment you kill Abel.
Uh-huh.
Every single every single time you can't do it. I can't do it. Guess what? You just killed Abel.
That's right. That's right. That's the mystery of scripture, you know. And it's a mystery because you have a multiplicity of ways to interpret it. But none of the interpretation can ever be physical or historical. You understand? It cannot be. If it is anything related to the physical, it's applying to yourself right now as a you know, something symbolic to what the scripture is saying. You know, like you just said, if somebody comes to you and tell you, you know, you are qualified or for this and that, and you tell the person, no man, I'm not. You're being Cain in that moment. You just killed Abel in that exact moment. The truth of what the person is claiming you to be, you just killed it by not accepting it as facts. Because you start to use your five senses and start to survey your life and say, no, that's not me. No, I'm not qualified for that. So you just disabled your abilities or your qualification. You think these words are just there by accident? Can't, disable. All these things I mean, you have no idea. But we're gonna get into it more and more about words and their meanings and how they came up with them and stuff like that. You know, a lot of stuff, everything is gonna go back to consciousness. Consciousness is perfection, it's perfect. You know, I never tell you, I cannot know only good and not know evil because I am my father's son. That'd be like your father, you don't have your father's genes. That's stupid, you know? Of course you have your father's genes. And your father and mother is really the whole that you came from. You're the son. Those two have to always come together to have you. The conscious and the subconscious has to always come together to give birth to anything, you know? And you're gonna have the properties of them. That's why when you come from your mom and dad, you look like your mother and dad. You have properties of both your mom and dad, externally and internally, and mentally. Whatever they had, you got. You know? So these are the way we want to approach things, common sense wise, a common sense reason. That's what we're trying to bring back, common sense, and make it, you know, do it on a wider scope. Try to broadcast it so people can start to think and listen. Okay. So that being said, guys, thank you for joining. We'll be
G,
here. Yes, G. Yes, G. Go ahead.
real quick, one thing I learned, was, we're all chosen. We always talk about the chosen ones. We're special. We're each and every single one of us is chosen. What I've learned is, in the process of conception, when the sperm meets the egg, um, in that process, there's millions of sperms trying to get to the egg to fertilize it. Well, what the egg does, the egg chooses which sperm it would like to fertilize it. So what it does, it causes the other sperms to slow down, and the sperm that it does choose, it causes that sperm to speed up. All the other eggs slow down, and the one that actually fertilizes the egg is the one that actually speeds up in that process. So we all are chosen. We're all special, man. We're all there. We're all there. There's a purpose for each and every single one of us being here. It's not on accident. It's not on by chance. Like, we were chosen. You know what I'm saying? It could have been any other sperm cell that fertilized that egg. You know what I'm saying? But the egg, it causes the other sperms to slow down, dog. Can you imagine that? G? It's crazy, dog. But when I but yeah, that's what happens, man, in the process of conception, bro. And then the light enters once the egg is fertilized. That burst of energy, you know what I'm saying, the soul enters that process. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it's crazy. We're all chosen, bro. That's it, G. I love each and every one of y'all, man. I know who y'all are, man. I love y'all.
Absolutely. G. Love you too, my brother. Love everybody here, you know. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today, Sunday. It's raining on my side, coming down hard. And so I see that as blessing overflow, you know. I don't see it as an issue. More blessing. And if it's sunny all day, blessing same way. Don't matter. All of life is perception. Whatever you perceive and believe, you will achieve, good or bad. All right. That said, love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day and your week. Peace and love. Over and out. Bless up.